Hi, Ferndale second graders. My name is Ms. Jones and I teach second grade at Cascadia, and I'm happy to be here today with you to help you with word attack strategies. So good readers, when they come to a word they don't know in a text, use a variety of different strategies to help them figure out that word. And I am going to teach you several of those, so let's get started. All right, here is my poster for word attack strategies, and I'm going to read these out loud. Feel free to read them along to yourself as I read them to you. Now, the first strategy is to stop when something doesn't sound right to you or look right or make sense. So you want to ask yourself, when you come to a word that's kind of tricky, does this look right? Does this sound right? Does this make sense? And then try some of these different strategies to help you. Now, we don't just use one of these strategies, we use a lot of these different strategies together. So it's as if you have a toolbox, and these are your tools, and you can use them to work together to try to figure out words that you don't know. So the next strategy I want you to remember is to look at the picture. So when you're reading, you can look at the picture for any clues that might help you figure out that word you don't know, and try it out. Next strategy is to say the first letter sound of a word. So if you have a word that starts with the letter B, I want you to go ahead and say that letter sound first. Get your lips ready and say the sound for B. B. You can always reread, which means to go back and read it again. So if a word doesn't make sense, you don't think it's quite right, reread, go back and try it again. You can blend. That means that you say the first two letter sounds together. So in that word blend, it has a B and an L. So we put those together to make the blend, and sound the whole word out, blend. The next strategy that's really helpful is to cover part of the word. So you can cover part of the word with your finger or your hand or a card, and take a look at that first part. So cover the word ending and take a look at the first part, and that'll help you break it up into parts to figure out that unknown word. The next strategy is the chunking strategy. It's a strategy that's really helpful, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later. But in the chunking strategy, you look for word parts that you know inside of a longer, bigger word. The next strategy is to think of a word that rhymes, that looks the same, the word ending looks the same and rhymes with the word. So for example, if you have the word can, you can use that end part, and to help you figure out man and plan. When you see a word that you really don't know, you can just say blank as you're reading as a placeholder and read on and then come back to it if you've been able to get some more clues in the sentence to help you figure out the word. So you can always skip a word or just say that word blank to help you remember that you need to come back to it. And then lastly, you can try a different sound for the vowel. So we know that vowels have two sounds. They have a long sound and a short sound. And if at first you try a word and it doesn't sound quite right, you might try flipping the vowel sound. So in that word flip, if I first read it as flipe, it doesn't make sense. So I go ahead and instead of saying the long I sound, I read it with a short I sound and read it as flip. Okay, so we're going to dive into the chunking strategy, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that so that it can help you with longer, bigger words. Okay, so that chunking strategy, sometimes called chunky monkey, is really helpful. Really helpful when we come to those 3-4 syllable words that look really long. It's a great strategy to help you break it into manageable parts. So what you want to do is you want to break a word, a longer word, into smaller parts or smaller words inside of that word. You want to find the words that you know inside of a bigger word. And I'm going to share with you some words today. We're going to practice it. They come from this book right here called Butterflies. Butterflies are another pollinator. You've been reading about honeybees this week, really helpful pollinator. And so I thought I'd share with you some butterfly related words to go with that. So the first word is the word insect. Now, this is a word you know. It's one of your vocabulary words this week. And when you look at that word insect, you can see that there's a smaller word inside that you know, the word in. You can use that to help you figure out the rest of this word. So insect, insect. Okay, let's try a word you might not know. This word here. This word is habitat. And a habitat is a place or environment where a plant or an animal naturally lives. So inside this word habitat, take a look at it. Do you see any words that you know? Are there any words here that you already know? I see some words. I see ha, I see bit, and at. So bit, at. So you always want to start at the beginning of the word and go ahead and put those parts together. So ha, bit, at. Habitat, habitat. Good. All right, next word. This word's a longer word. Now you might not know what this word is, but you can look inside the word for parts that you do recognize. For example, the blend here, FL, fl, you might notice that it has ut or utter, and then this word ending, ing. So when we put this together, we can first chunk it and then put it back together. So flutter, fluttering, fluttering. That's what butterflies do. This next word, migration, means to travel or move from place to place, from a region or habitat. So let's take a look at it. This is something that monarch butterflies do. In this word, we have an ending, shun, but we also have a base word, migrate, 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 and then shun. So let's put it together. Migration, migration. This last word is a long word as well. And I want you just to take a look at it for a moment. Try to find some words inside of that word. Try to practice finding some words inside of this word. And then we're going to put it together. Did you see this first word in the beginning? Cat. That's right, cat. You might also know pill, or this ending R. So let's say it together. Cat, pill-ler. Caterpillar. That's an important word too. Okay, well that's it. This week, today, I'd like you to try out this strategy, the chunking strategy, or any of the strategies that I introduced to you today as you read Honeybees. And I want you to first go ahead and circle all the words that you don't know and try out one of these strategies and then explain the strategy to a family member. Thanks for joining me. Happy reading. Bye.